Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Muhammad Iqbal Hussain and my last two digit of my registration number is 50. Today I would like to present an important microeconomics topic named demand. In the very first, we must know what is demand. In microeconomics, demand refers to how much of a good or service people are willing and able to buy at different prices. Essentially, it's about the desire or need for something and the ability to pay for it. For example, a consumer would buy 3 loaves per week, but if he has an unexpected drop in income, he may not be able to afford the loaves. When his income returns to normal, his latent demand will return to effective demand. In the right side, we can also see a demand curve. In economics, a demand curve is a graph showing the relationship between the price of a good or service and the quantities of the good or services consumers are willing to buy. Demand curves can be straight lines or curves, but they almost always slope downward following the law of demand. The observation that all other things being equal, consumers will demand less of a good or at higher prices and more of the good at lower prices. Now, let's talk about the law of demand. The law of demand is a basic principle in economics that says when the price of a good goes down, people usually buy more of it. And when the price of goes up, people usually buy less of it. Think about it like this. If the price of lemon goes down from $2 to $1, more people are likely to buy them because they are cheaper. But if the price of lemon goes up to $4, fewer people may be willing to buy them because they are more expensive. So the law of demand basically says that there are there's an inverse relationship between the price of something and how much people want to buy it. In this slide, I will discuss about determinants of demand. In economics, the demand for a good or service is influenced by several key factors called determinants of demand. When one or more of these determinants change, the quantity demanded by consumers also changes. Here are the 5 main determinants of demand. First one is price of the good or service. This is the most obvious determinant. Generally, as the price of a good or service increase, the quantity demanded decrease and vice versa. This is known as the law of demand. However, the responsiveness of demand to price change varies depending on the specific good and its price elasticity. The second one is consumer income. When consumers have higher incomes, they can afford to buy more goods and services, including the specific good or service under consideration. This leads to an increase in demand. Conversely, a decrease in income leads to a decrease in demand. The third one is price of related goods. There are two types of related goods. First one is complementary goods. Complementary goods are goods that are often used together. For example, the demand for printer ink increases when the price of printers decreases. A change in the price of a complementary good will have an opposite effect on the demand for the original good. And second one is substitute goods. These are the goods that can be used instead of each other. For example, the demand for buses might decrease if the price of trains falls. A change in the price of a substitute good will have a similar effect on the demand for the original good. Now, the four determinants of demand is consumer taste and preference. Consumer preference can change over time due to factors like fashion trends, advertising, and personal experience. If consumers develop a stronger preference for a particular good or service, the demand for it will increase. The last and fifth one is consumer expectations. If consumers expect the price of a good or service to increase in the future, they might be more likely to buy it now, leading to an increase in current demand. Conversely, if they expect the price to decrease, they might delay their purchase, leading to a decrease in current demand. Now we will talk about change in quantity demand. It refers to a movement along the demand curve caused by change in the price of the good or service in question. When the price of a good or service changes, it directly affects the quantity demanded, leading to an increase and decrease along the existing demand curve. On the demand curve, you can show changes in quantity demanded as a movement along the demand curve. An increase in the quantity demanded is equivalent to a movement down and to the right along the demand curve. A decrease in quantity demanded is equivalent to a movement up and to the left along the demand curve. For example, we can show a graph in this screen. Quantity demanded increased from 5 units to 12 units as the price decreased from $2 to $1. And in the right side, quantity demanded decreased from 12 units to 5 units as the price increased from $1 to $2. Now I will discuss change in demand. A change in demand describes a shift in consumer desire to purchase a particular good or service, irrespective of a variation of its price. The change could be triggered by a shift in income levels, consumer taste, or a different price being charged for a related product. A shift causes the quantity of demand to either increase, it means a shift to the right, or decrease, it means a shift to the left, even though price does not change. Now have a look at the graph. It is a leftward shift of the demand curve. A leftward shift of the demand curve implies something has caused an overall decrease in consumer demand. The entire curve shifts to the left to indicate that consumers are now willing to buy fewer goods at every price. The quantity demanded will be lower than before the shift at any given price. The graph shows an example of a leftward shift from D0 to D on, and you will notice that the quantity demanded is lower for the new demand curve D1 than for the initial demand curve D0. That's all of the demand. Thank you very much for joining with me.